Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Tropical Edition. Great to have you here with me. Let's take a look. We're still watching the tropics here. We have a tropical wave that's going to be approaching the Lesser Antilles as we head later Monday into Tuesday, and that's going to be bringing some very heavy rainfall across much of the Caribbean islands as we head throughout the rest of the week. But in particular, the GFS and the European model is showing some big-time trouble here right around November 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Both models are showing the system starting to blow up into something across the central and western Caribbean. This is a trend we're going to have to keep an eye on, and it does show a very weakening steering current pattern capable for this system to stall once again. So we're going to take a look at that, along with your big weather pattern change here across North America that could actually bring some snowfall, particularly to parts of Canada. Let's get into it. All right, so starting off here with the European model, and then we'll progress towards the GFS. As we start out here, you can see the tropics starting out pretty quiet here. We do have areas of showers and thunder showers here across the southern Caribbean with our system in Vest 97 last week that never actually developed. But you can see out here in the intertropical convergence zone, lots of heavy rain and showers. We will be getting buffeted by a couple of these waves, one in particular that's going to approach the Lesser Antilles as we head towards the 6th into the 7th here. You can see quite a bit of area of shower and thunderstorm activity here. As we head throughout this week, you can see that storm area of cloudiness starting to get better organized as we head towards the 9th here. You can see progressing towards the west, quite an area of cloudiness. It's not particularly heavy here showing up on the European model, but it is a very elongated area of showers and thunderstorms. Now you can see across the western Atlantic here, very abnormally strong high for this time of year, continuing to push the tropical waves due west. That's more indicative of a pattern that's like closer to late August and September. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on here as we go through time, because that's going to help push our tropical systems more towards the Caribbean and maybe potentially the Gulf. Now, as we get towards November 10th and 11th, you can see our system here really starting to organize here. You can see Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Central America. Here is our system, a big blob of moisture. And I'll show you momentarily on the GFS. It's actually showing up pretty nicely as well, even more prominently. You can see towards the 12th, we really start to get a spin up here towards Nicaragua, Honduras, something we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on with these trends, because you can see very heavy rain pushing towards Belize and potentially the Yucatan Peninsula as we head towards November 13th. So it's something we'll have to keep a very close eye on this time of year. We will be seeing the effects of El Nino, so that could actually keep a lid on this, so to speak, but this looks actually pretty strong, especially since it's showing up on both our major models here, and then it starts to stall as steering currents become extremely weak. You can see there's a massive area of high pressure over eastern North America, and that's blocking the system from heading northeastward. You see another system here into the western Gulf that we'll actually have to keep a very close eye on here as we go out in time. And you can actually see as we go towards the last few model runs, clippets here from November 14th, you can see this system's not going anywhere once it gets in this area. So that's a bit concerning. That's going to be an area of extremely heavy rain, and we'll have to watch for development. So for our GFS run, here is what's left of Invest 97L here across Central America, bringing some very heavy rains to Belize and Central America, upwards of 100 millimeters plus in some areas. That'll be upwards of 3 to 4 plus inches of rain. So yeah, as we continue to go in time here, our big focus is right around that November 11th, 12th, 13th. You can see our tropical wave heading through the Lesser Antilles by this point. The GFS has it a little bit further to the north by this point. This is the 8th, so we're getting into Wednesday here. So you can see, let's just back this up just a few frames. You can see it's heading through the Lesser Antilles the 7th, and here's the 8th. And then as we head towards the 9th, it's reorganizing itself, bringing some very heavy rains to Puerto Rico and Hispaniola here from Dominican Republic to Haiti. Now, still dry here in Jamaica. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. You can see that area of massive high pressure to the north, very strong for this time of year, a big old Bermuda high, continuing to push the system due west across the Caribbean. You can see towards the 10th into the 11th. Look what starts to happen here in the 12th. this area really starts to blow up. Lots of tropical moisture here from Jamaica all the way up to the Cayman Islands. You can see the system really starting to blow up here across Central America too. So it starts to really blow up here with this massive sea surface temperature content here. The only thing that I can see that might cause some problems is that wind shear. You know, with El Nino this time of year, especially in the Western Caribbean, you get a tremendous amount of wind shear. However, it's not really showing up here much on the models. You can see the GFS continuing to push this system towards the west as a big area of high pressure across eastern North America continues to build westward as well. So this could mean a more aggravated flooding situation here for much of Central America, bringing lots of rains here to Jamaica and the Cayman Islands here on the northern side as well. And you can see the GFS, it starts to stall the system as well, just like the European model does. In the same location in these resort towns along the Yucatan Peninsula, lots of tropical moisture feeding in out of the east here across Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, something we definitely need to keep a very close eye on because we might be talking about this system for quite some time. The GFS does start to move it towards the Eastern Pacific towards November 19th, but by this point, it looks like the damage will be done. All right, so dry air analysis here, we're going to kick it out towards that November 10th, 11 timeframe. This is where we start to see this, the forecast models unanimously showing some sort of major tropical wave here. So let's just back this up. It will be heading through the Lesser Antilles. This is starting this week. So right around the 6th, 7th, 8th, this is a very big tropical wave, something we're going to have to keep a very close eye on, bringing heavy rains to much of the Caribbean, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Lesser Antilles, eventually Jamaica and the Cayman Islands towards next week, and Central America. We'll have to see if this actually develops into something because this is a massive plume of moisture you can see here. This is really bubbling up it's really holding tough even towards November 15th here. So this could be a prolonged period of massive tropical moisture. So for the Western Caribbean here, look at what we got going on. It's mostly across Belize, well inland into Central America. Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, you'll pick up about 10 millimeters or less, generally a quarter inch or less of rain. It's later on in the week we start to see this heavier rain with this tropical wave, but for the most part, the Western Caribbean, especially the Northwestern Caribbean, staying pretty dry through this week. And as we take a look at the Eastern Caribbean, you can see what's going on here. We got a tropical wave that's going to approach the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad and Tobago. This is towards Tuesday into Wednesday. You can see that pushing towards Puerto Rico. We'll get anywhere from about 40 to as much as 70 millimeters, about 2.5, 3 inches of rain. So take a look at the Eastern Pacific here. Look at this is Tropical Storm Pilar here. So yeah, this system is still heading out over the open Eastern Pacific, but it is not going to be a problem other to just shipping at this point. Its moisture may find its way. Let's get a timestamp on this. November 8th. So later on, towards the middle of the week, we might get some moisture here into the southern Baja California. But the rest of the tropics here in the Eastern Pacific, we don't really see too much action going on as things really start to shut off here. One thing to note, we might actually have a little area of low pressure moving towards the Hawaiian Islands as we get towards, say, November 14th, heading on into the 15th here. Now, as we head to the Western Pacific, what is going on out here? It's been unusually quiet. Very, very quiet. And that's going to continue here. You see Japan up here being dominated by high pressure. The Philippines, there's not much to speak of. South China, look at Vietnam. There is not a whole lot of moisture here to speak of. And as we continue to go in time here, you can see there really is not a whole bunch of things going on at all. You can see we do have some areas of interest out here in the Intertropical Convergence Zone. This is actually by November 12th, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. This up here northeast of Japan and northern Japan, this is a big system that'll be bombing out. You see these actually bomb out. This one up here towards the Aleutian Islands, that will be eventually affecting North American weather here in the form of inclement weather. So at this point, as we continue to go in time, let's see if any of these tropical waves have any chance of developing. This one actually bears watching towards the 13th into the 14th, just east of the Philippines, and there is another area of low pressure towards Vietnam by this point. So we might actually start to get a little more active here as we get towards the middle of the month. You can see this tropical wave, this one, and this one here towards Vietnam. So definitely got to keep an eye on this. I think at some point things might actually bounce back to more active out here in the Western Pacific. So HRRR model here, our future radar essentially, as we continue through the rest of Sunday afternoon and evening. Look what's going on here. As we head towards Sunday evening, we start to see by 11 p.m. a lot of showers heading towards the upper Great Lakes here. Look at this massive area of snowfall here into parts of Canada. So yeah, there's going to be some snowfall accumulations here. That's going to be pretty interesting into the colder air up here. So we will be seeing snowfall increasing across parts of eastern Canada as well. You can see by 11 a.m. on Monday, we have a little area of convection here across Michigan. So this is a little bit of a potent system. On the north side here, probably a couple inches of snow on the very least here. Briefly, it's almost like resembling that of a little clipper, though it is a little bit far north for an Alberta clipper, a little bit early. But take a look at this. You got some areas of convection. This is towards 3 p.m. Monday afternoon. So this model bringing in the precipitation a little bit quicker here into northeast Ohio, western New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, as you can see towards 9 p.m. on Monday evening. We might get some shower activity across parts of upstate New York, Pennsylvania, parts of New England. Look at this, though. This is interesting. Parts of northern Maine, you'll actually pick up some snowfall accumulations here. Very interesting. Some wet, slushy accumulations. And as we continue to go out here in time for Election Day morning, you can see we just have some areas of showers here, particularly north of Cleveland, Buffalo, Syracuse area, and then northern New England. You have to watch out for some wintry precipitation heading on into parts of New Brunswick and north of Quebec City as well, but changing over to rain across much of southern Ontario and Quebec here. So yeah, this looks like a pretty nice election day for parts of the east here. You can see high pressure dominating much of the east. It's out west, though. You have a lot of mountain snow and valley rain with that next system. So starting off with our European model for Canadian and U.S. North American weather here. The big story here is going to be eastern Canada here, where we're going to be seeing some snowfall on the order of 20 to 25 centimeters, about 5 to 7 inches here. So as we head towards later Monday into Tuesday, that's going to be heading across eastern Quebec, central. So you can see here heading from the Great Lakes, northern Great Lakes, into parts of central Ontario, eastern north central Quebec here, and eventually northern New Brunswick, clipping you with some snowfall here. High pressure building in behind it. You can see high pressure is going to be the dominant feature. Quieter weather here across the east. As we head towards the middle of the week, towards the 9th, we get a small area of low pressure here across the Ohio Valley into parts of the northeast that will bring some showers, showery conditions. But as we just back up here just a little bit, you can see here's November 7th, so Election Day, looking pretty quiet across much of the east. We might see some rain showers early on in the morning hours here across parts of northeast Ohio, northern New York, and eventually clipping northern New England here with some wintry precipitation, but that should be moving out pretty quickly. And as we can see throughout the rest of the week, there are no large-scale areas of major significant weather. You can see high pressure dominating much of central Canada. Another system kind of pushing up towards the Pacific Northwest and the Gulf of Alaska here, and a small area of low pressure bringing some snow showers here to parts of eastern Canada. Now, we do have a tropical connection here to parts just off the Texas coastline here as we head towards the 10th into the 11th. So as we get it to the end of the week here, a little area of low pressure developing off the U.S. East Coast that looks progressive enough to miss the East Coast for the most part. High pressure building in for next weekend into early part of the following week. You can see the high pressure is going to be the dominant weather feature in the east, low pressure here off the western North American coastline. So taking a look at the CFS medium range climate model, you can see this week is mainly dominated by some ridges here into the northeast. That will be replaced by a trough later on in the week. You can see a very fast moving pattern, though. It's not one location getting trough, stuck with a trough or a ridge all week. You can see we basically flip-flop throughout the week into the following week as well as we head towards mid-October. Extremely fast-moving pattern here. We will get some chances of some big storms. Look at these big storm moving into the west coast right around November 21st as we head into Thanksgiving week. And that heads on into the plains. We'll have to keep an eye on this. This could affect travel. Look at that. That's a big trough heading on into the end of Thanksgiving week into the weekend after Thanksgiving here, and that pushes out. You can see it's a very fast-moving pattern as we head towards December, the first week of December here. And Eric Rentschler from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, Mount Gretna. Here on November 2nd, you can see the beautiful fall foliage that he captured. It looks like it was a beautiful day as well. You can see that beautiful blue sky. Look at that nice water. You get the reflection. That's the best way to take some fall foliage photos, is get those reflections of those oranges, reds, yellows reflecting off the water. Very nice captures here, Derek. It looks like a beautiful day to behold here across Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Nice captures here. Don't go anywhere. In just a moment, I have plenty more weather for you, but take a look at a word here from my affiliate.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease, or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So let's take a look at the snowfall forecast for Canada here. Yeah, it looks like just, north of the Canadian border, especially southeast Canada here. As we head towards the first part of the week, later Monday into Tuesday, we will be getting areas upwards of 20 to 25 centimeters of snowfall here. So that's going to be pretty interesting there for our Canadian viewers here, especially central, northern Ontario and Quebec. It is well north of the Canadian border, though, so most of the areas will be less populated centers here. Look at the west coast of Canada, though, picking upwards of 90 centimeters, I should say, here in the mountains of Western Canada. So here you can see that snowfall accumulation here heading across the extreme northern part of the U.S., clipping northern Maine here with up to an inch or two, but it's here into parts, there it is, central and northern Quebec areas, picking upwards of 5, 7, 8 inches of snow. Even up here in western Ontario, upwards of maybe a foot just north of the Minnesota-Canadian border here. So as we take a look at liquid equivalent precipitation totals here, this is going to be a pretty quiet week for the most part, except for out west, Pacific Northwest, and across the northern tier of the country as well, where we'll have these quick moving systems drop anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 inch of precipitation. So zooming into the Ohio Valley in the northeast, you can get a sense that Sunday into Monday is pretty quiet, but it's later Monday night. We start to get some showers moving in from Cleveland on northeastward here across the eastern Great Lakes. Most of Tuesday looks pretty dry for the most part. So that's good news. Into Wednesday, we get some more rainfall with the next system moving in. So here's your rainfall totals. We're looking anywhere from about 1/4 inch Cleveland, Toledo on northeastward, maybe a little bit heavier around Erie here, where we'll get upwards of 3/4 of an inch. And as you can see, most of New England here staying dry, except southern New England and northern New England, where you get up to 1/4 inch. So as we take a look at your week ahead with temperatures here, look at this. Warm air, this big chunk of warm air will be pushing up into the Ohio Valley 60s, into parts of the Ohio Valley into the northeast 70s and 80s. Look at Texas here baking into the upper 80s. As we head towards Tuesday or Election Day, look at this. So it's actually not looking bad. The cold spot is up here into the northern upper Midwest, where you'll be held down into the 30s and 40s here. But look at here from Cleveland on northeastward 50s, and then here into parts of the rest of the Ohio Valley, southern Pennsylvania, well into the 60s, and still lots of 70s, 80s across the south here into your Wednesday. Look at this. This is crazy. Chicago well up into the 60s and 70s just south of you here. So the Ohio Valley continuing to be right around that 60-degree mark. And look at how cool it is up here in the northern New England, 40s, but that is more average for this time of year. We will see a cool front pushing to the south, and I say cool front because this is not excessively cold for this time of year. It could be a lot colder. You see up here into parts of the Ohio Valley into the northeast, we're staying well up into the 60s here. That's pretty unseasonably warm for this time of year, I should say. And look at this as we head on into your Friday. We're getting a little bit closer to average here. We're still above average, though. Most areas in the 50s from the Northeast, Ohio Valley, and 60s here across the Southern Plains. The warm spot's going to be Florida and Georgia here as we head on into your Friday. And as we head on into Saturday next week, look at that. Not too bad. Extended outlook from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna region of upstate New York and Northeast Pennsylvania, Binghamton to Scranton. Heading on into your week, look at this. It's actually a unseasonably warm week. You can see 50s, a popular number. Tuesday, we're heading up towards the mid-60s. A next system moving in for Wednesday night, especially Thursday. Showers likely. That'll cool things down for the end of the week. Showery conditions, but lower 50s is still above average for this time of year. Enjoy.
As always, thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Take a look at my Facebook page at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern to follow the tropics. And if you want to hop over to my Twitter page, it's at Weather Eastern. It's MeteoMark.com. Thanks for joining me. Question or comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted when a video comes out.